What's up, everyone, and welcome to episode 262 of Two Amazon Sellers and a Microphone, brought to you by Solozo. And today we've got the man with us right now. We're super
VIP treatment.
VIP. Oh, we love this guy. He's been on before, and we're super excited. It's the middle of Q4 right now, and we're going to be talking about dominating Q4 with your Amazon PPC. And there's just no better person to talk about this with than Mina, Elias. What's up, Mina? How are you?
Guys, I'm super excited to be back. Good to see you again, even if it's just virtually. I know we saw each other in September at Sell and Scale, so it's great to be back on the show. I'm excited to share some cool stuff.
Oh, well, we're excited. We always love learning and hearing more cool stuff, and you're knee deep in everything, man. And you know, we don't need to go through your whole background again. We've had you on before, so people can look at the previous episodes, but you know, we were chatting before. I mean, I'm so impressed with your journey. We've obviously known you and been following you, and you know, you've gone from creating an amazing supplement brand, launching it on Amazon. I know you did some stuff prior to being on Amazon with it, but then you know, now you're a huge thought leader in the space. You're speaking at events everywhere. Your content's amazing, and you own an agency where you're helping brands scale, and some of your stories are amazing through that. So, I mean, before we dive into the advertising part, I just want to know, how do you do that? How do you do everything that you're doing and keep up the energy that you have? It's amazing.
So, you know, I think most people could do it if they don't burn out. And I think I was just very lucky that I trained MMA for so long, and I understood, you know, 3 hours a day of training, 2 workouts a day for 6 days a week, and then knowing when that perfect time where it's like, okay, I've burnt out once from MMA, burnt out a second time from MMA, not burnt out and like take time off, but burnt out. I could never take time off because I lived with MMA fighters. And so, you know, even more than like 3 or 4 days, they're like, dude, like, come on, like, you know, I don't want to, they're like, you know, get your butt to the gym. So, you know, I've been lucky to experience that and then really be in tune with myself and my body and you know, my mental state. But also, you know, I think MMA like adds a lot of characteristics like being calm under pressure, you know, never quitting, those kinds of like deep values that I have. And a combination of that has helped me like continue to push the pace day in, day out. For me, I mean, as long as I'm grateful, right? And I know that if I lose everything, I'm happy, like life will be good still. And I practice gratitude. So I'm detached from the outcome. But I just want to play the game and I want to play to win. And so knowing myself and knowing when I can push and when I need to chill, understanding what are the things that rejuvenate me very well. And I'm also like in really, really good physical shape, which I think helps. Like, well, I'm sure, like you know, if you're eating not clean and you know, if you're not you know, a decent body fat percentage or whatever, you're not lifting every single day, you're not, you know, training, doing things like that, you might get more tired faster than you know, people who are in very good athletic abilities. And I'm like, you know, peak competitive shape. So I think that also helps a lot. Is like, you know, most people are like long days at work and getting tired, and I'm like, dude, I'm blasting energy like to like from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. no problem. So I think it's a combination of those things, but also you know, I don't do anything for the money. Like I have talked to too many people who have said, I lost passion, I got burned out. Why? Well, because it was an opportunity and I was chasing it. And so I kind of like, okay, I learned from these people's mistakes. When I look at like when I look at doing the brand MMA Nutrition, it was fun. It was amazing. I love supplements. Amazon was like the super, you know, interesting thing for me. And then when I went into the agency, I realized I have a knack for it, and you know, I'm good at advertising. I was able to do it for, you know, myself. I understand things. You know, I have an engineering brain which works well for like paid search. You know, where it's like a lot of like data interpretation, and so I'm like, this is something that I enjoy. You know, it feels like a good game to play. I can be the best in the world at it, and I can add a lot of value to people. And because I have like those three things all together, it doesn't feel like every day is fighting a fire, or every day is like a struggle, or I'm doing something that, I'm just doing it. Like if I was selling something other than supplements, like baby products, like I would be like, if I got a message from a customer, I would be like, dude, like like I just want to throw this brand away. Like, and I've been there before with the things, with other things, where it's like, dude, like I just can't stand this anymore, because it's not something that I was passionate about. But because this is something that I do enjoy, and like I think it's, I've been able to just continue to push the pace, and leverage people and everything in technology faster. And I think that's, I don't know, I don't know exactly why, but I think that's like a huge part of it.
Talk about your routine in the morning. I mean, I've known you for, I've known of you for years. It feels like maybe more, and you're never in a bad mood. It feels like it always feels like you have the highest energy. Every time I see you at a conference, you're, what's up, man, smiling ear to ear. Like some people struggle with that. Like they can't get motivated in the morning. They just don't have a good outlook on the life they have. Like talk about your routine and I think you mentioned on there the way of working out. Just to kind of relate a little bit. Years ago I didn't like to go to the gym. I hated it. Didn't want to do it. Hated working out. But now I'm like addicted to it. And I
Yeah.
have seen like a shift in like my mindset. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like it's a good time to like to clear your mind. So anybody who's thinking about working out, just go do it. It's gonna suck for like the first couple of weeks, but then it gets better. But talk about your routine. What's your routine like?
Routine. So I usually wake up like naturally, like 5:15. That's how I woke up, 5:15 a.m. today. It's nicer when the sun is up. But around 5:30, my thermostat switches from 66 degrees to 75 degrees. And so it gets from very cold to very warm in the house. It really helps me wake up. We're also experimenting with like this like sunlight lamp, or whatever, like a sunrise lamp, where it turns on like gradually over time. So I wake up, I do like my hygiene routine, right? So shave everything, make sure everything is sharp. By the way, I recently made a video about this. Is like I think the way that you present yourself is super important, and it like talks to who you are, and how you do one thing is how you do everything, in my opinion. And so every morning I will line up my beard, I will shave like under, I'll make sure everything is perfect, I'll do a skincare routine, dental hygiene, brush, floss, all of that stuff. And then I usually spend around 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes max, visualizing. So I usually pick one thing, and this is like stems from something that I do once a year, where I will write down like each category of my life, and what I in the next year, what I look like in that category. So whether it's business, what does that look like? I'm like the business is doing $5 million in revenue, and I have amazing people, and and like I basically kind of create like the future before it happens for every category. So fitness, family, friends, all this stuff. And I'll usually like every maybe couple of weeks focus on one thing, and I'll create a mental image with every detail, like including the feelings. And so I'll spend 5 minutes in the morning thinking about that, like really visualizing. And I've noticed that by doing that, things become reality. And that's, I think, the power of visualization is also used by a lot of like Olympic athletes when they're like training for like performance, and they'll visualize the outcome before it happens. And then after that, it's I have my like morning shake. I used to do pre-workout. I'm taking a break from caffeine, and I'm doing just like my carbs and essential amino acids. Then I hit the gym. It's usually either MMA or lifting. 1 hour, 1 hour, yeah, 1 hour or so. Come back. I call my mom on the way back. Mom and dad on the way back every day. And then I get to work. So the first portion of my work, I'll do a couple of like team meetings. So I'm sure everyone's aligned and on the same page. I'll go through my Slack, empty that out, and then I just move into maybe a couple hours of deep work. So that's where I'll focus on one thing and get it to completion, and then the rest of the day will be shallow work, meetings, things like that. And then in the afternoon, I'll do a second workout. So if on the days that I do MMA, I have to lift still. So I'll go do my lift. And then I go to a place where I either do cryotherapy, an ice bath, infrared sauna, or sometimes like a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. So one of those things. And then I come back and chill, maybe watch half an episode or something, and pass out. That's my daily routine.
So a guy like you, I mean, you're super intelligent, super smart. Let's touch real quick, and then I know we'll get in the meat and bones, or whatever that's called. What is it? Meat potatoes? Is that what they call it? Meat and potatoes?
Meat and
We'll get
potatoes,
the
I
meat
think.
potatoes. Yeah, I'll get the meat potatoes of like you4. But a guy like you, mentorships, masterminds, uh, getting somebody like you can like get on a phone with and like follow and be around. Like, what are you doing there? Are you part of some good groups? How do you get into those groups? Like, what has that done for your life?
Yeah. So that's been huge for me. I think I'm glad that you touched on this. So what I've done is I've tried to find a consultant to consult me who's light years ahead in any area that I'm looking for. So for example, if recruiting is a big focus, I'll go and find a consultant for recruiting, and I'll talk to them. If let's say operations is a big focus, like reducing client churn, I'll go find like a client success manager of a $20 million agency. And I'll say, hey, like I would love to pay for your time for some consulting on the side. And then, that's usually how I shortcut, all of my problems is who's done that like 10 times better than me. And I just want to pay for their time. And usually their time is pretty cheap. Like the people actually doing the work, like not the ones on stage and all of this stuff. It's the people who are really doing the work. If you find probably the head of whatever in Oracle, right, or a massive tech company, I guarantee you they're not going to charge you more than like 100 an hour, 150 an hour. So that's a life hack for everyone. So that's what I do.
They're probably honored. They're probably honored when somebody comes. He's like, "Hey, they want my time. What the hell they want my time for?" Like, no one ever wants my time. But when somebody is interested in what they do, they're more willing to be like, "Yeah, let's go. I'm here to help."
Yeah, I remember when way back in the day, someone asked me, this is when I was in construction or whatever, and they're like, "Hey, we need someone with the AutoCAD experience, blah blah blah." They're like, "How much are you an hour?" And I was like, $50. And they're like, "Okay, cool." And I'm like, "Oh my god, like I just got these people to pay me $50 an hour. That's crazy." So it is that, because it's you are like your value in the market, and if no one is really like approaching you, then your value is whatever, you're probably gonna relate it back to your salary, which is not gonna be that high. So that's what I do. Masterminds is something I still am yet to crack. I would love to go to more masterminds, but I think like a step down from that is going to conferences for me. So I'm going to one in January called Agency Founders. And it's basically a conference for a bunch of agency founders, and some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. There's definitely a handful that are very, very successful. And so I go to places like this with an agenda, and I research people before I go, and then I like immediately ask them. I'm like, "Hey man, you've done an amazing job, like with your personal brand. So what are the things that you're doing? What's your action? Tell me like the step-by-step stuff like that." And most people are abundant and willing to share. And if you get one or two people that are not, then I'm there's I think the founder of Net Elixir. Basically, like I saw him at a conference, and I'm like, "Hey man, I have like a few questions," and he wasn't willing to share much. So I was like, "Oh, whatever. It's cool. Like you're gonna get rejected here and there. It's not a big deal." So that's what I do there, and I do have one consultant, like that's a general agency consultant. So he's in our Slack, and I ask him questions all the time. So I think like the fastest way to growth. I think start with consultants, because if like masterminds and all that stuff, you get a lot of information, but it's like only an inch deep versus like a mile deep. And I think with consultants is like you just identify what your biggest problems in the company is, and then go find a consultant and then be like, "Listen, like here's my problems, like fix them." And then they fix them, they help you fix them. And so you can very, very effectively do that. But I would love, man, like a mastermind where there's a lot of like people who are a lot better than me, and I can constantly like learn. I'm just yet to find one, that's a fit for me.
Yeah. Is it me, or does the Amazon space start to feel a little capped out? It feels like it's getting a little capped out as far as what is out there as far as new knowledge. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like there's a ceiling, and we're getting pretty close to that ceiling.
I agree. I also think that like there is a problem with the Amazon space, because it's not like a regular like brand space where it's like you go into the space and you're like, "I'm trying to build a brand." It's not like Shopify. Like Shopify, there's a large amount of people on Shopify who are like building brands, and they're legitimate. Versus like the kind of As soon as you go into the Amazon space, everyone's hiding their products. No one wants to talk about stuff. Everyone's kind of a little bit, hyping themselves up, stuff like that. And so there's a lot of that, which, it kind of like it interferes with the ability to do, what we're talking about here. I love the Amazon space, but it's just maybe because it's like a younger, space. That's why. But when eventually all of like the big direct to consumer brands come on there, when everyone that's in retail comes on there, maybe it'll be a lot more mature. But as of right now, it's kind of, a lot of people are like, I'm trying to get out of my 9 to 5 and I want this as a side gig sort of thing. So it does come. I mean, I obviously I'm that person, right? I wanted to get out of my 9 to 5 but there does come that whole stigma of like shortcuts and hustles and things like that.
You're 100% right. I mean, there is a fear that a lot of people have that if they talk about their product or their brand, that it's going to be copied and all this other stuff, and they're going to. But that's not how a brand is built. A brand is built by awareness, and you just got to be. If you're the best brand out there, you're going to drive all the sales. I mean, there's always competition. There's a competition from everything and every aspect. But I think you're right, and you fairly unique in the space. I mean, you were wide open about your brand the whole time, but it gave awareness to your brand. That's what marketing is. It's get people aware of your brand and then do everything that you can. Then you don't have to worry about is there a way to hack reviews or a way to do all the like those things don't last long. It's like, it's not a good brand building strategy to try to do this new trick that's gray hattish, that's going to move the needle a little bit temporarily.
Dude, to this day, like not 80%, I would say, of like conferences have like a hack contest or like a hack thing. And I'm like, maybe we are also feeding that, maybe we keep talking about hacks and we're feeding hacks. For me, like with PPC, I always tell people, like, I honestly, there's like my PPC strategy, there's no magic, there's no secret. I already shared everything. It's just like relentless hard work, like every day, like monitoring things, trying things, doing things. It's just the foundations done like a million times, over and over and done perfectly. So it's like, I was there. Trust me, I was there when my business was like, had 350 reviews and it was like 4-star, not 4.5-star. I was looking at Facebook ads and Google ads and driving external traffic and 2-step URL. And then when I'm like, okay, let's take a step back. Like, how can I increase my conversion rate? Let's test some images. Let's get some reviews. And then when I improved my main image and I went from a 4-star to 4.5-star review with everything else being the same, I went from like 20K to 35K in revenue. And I'm like, it's the foundations. It's people coming into the listing. You want to drive traffic, and then you want to improve your conversion rate. So unless you've tapped out Amazon's traffic for your product, which some people have if you're in a small niche, but for me, like a supplements niche, I'm doing like a market tracker on Helium 10, and I know what percentage of the market I own. And unless that's like 10%, which is like I would be making like, I don't know, like $1 million a month or something. But unless it's that, then it's like there's room to grow.
Absolutely. Let's talk about, because you were so disciplined when you were growing your brand. I mean, you were like in the dirt. You wanted to know everything about PPC, like you said. You became like a full-time student of everything to really master it. And then as you transitioned to an owner of an agency as well, what's it like? What's the difference between managing the advertising for yourself, knowing your goals, knowing what versus managing for your clients? And I mean, it seems like there's got to be a lot of education involved in that too, because I think everyone who's in the Amazon advertising space knows there's expectations and there's reality.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is a lot of advertising spend to help grow, which people don't understand a lot of times. What's the difference in how you feel managing yourself versus helping manage others?
Yeah, so managing myself was a lot nicer because I was able to move 10 times faster. So there's a lot of people that don't move fast enough, I think. And there's nothing wrong with that. You want to be cautious. You don't want to waste money. But I've just found a lot more success in wasting money, quote unquote, wasting money, because in the 3 months that someone's been thinking or planning something, I've already done it 10 times, made 10 mistakes, and on the 11th one I'm 10 times ahead of that person who still hasn't started. And so that's kind of been my philosophy, is like failing forward. So I'm okay taking action, course correcting, taking action, course correcting, 10 or 20 times, and then getting there. And so that's how I learned a lot of things. Now with when you bring the clients on, you have a lot less of the sandbox that you can play in, right, to test different things. So it's the first thing is anything that needs to be rolled out to clients needs to be incredibly structured and systemized. There needs to be over communication, which we never had to do that with my stuff, right, to over communicate. But it's also like under explaining the full picture, right, because a lot of people come and they don't really understand like the advertising. They're looking at ACOS, they're looking at things like this, which I'm like, dude, I never look at ACOS, it's not even accurate. So it's a lot of like, okay, where are you in the education phase, and let me just keep giving you information and value to empower you, because at the end of the day, if I can empower you to make the right decisions, we can execute. So as long as we're there, and then that sandbox is still necessary. We still have to try and make mistakes with every single brand, but it's just, what can we agree on with the brand owner? If we're spending $1,000 a day, are you okay with $200 being blown for research purposes? But trust me, if we blow that $200 enough times, we're gonna find stuff that's gonna really work. And so I think it's just a combination of those things, and but everything really has to be very, very structured, because when it's rolled out to everyone, and I'm now realizing, corporate, right? It's like, you want to move the ship. Well, you can't just move it. It's like you have to have a very strong, tight standard. The leaders need to buy in, and then they need to bring it down, and then you need to have someone following up, make sure everything happens. And we're only like close to 50 employees, so I can imagine like when you're like 1,000 employees, like how difficult rolling things out is. So it's been interesting, but I think I'm still keeping so one thing I've done is, instead of saying like, hey guys, you're PPC managers, I've said, hey, you're the brand owner now. Like, this person's coming to you and he's handing you his brand. Like, if inventory is low, you know before he does. If there's like something, if he got 2 negative reviews, before he does, and you already highlight, hey, maybe in your next batch, tell your manufacturer to add like some extra wrap or something. Just everything. If you read on the news that container speeds went from 4 weeks to 6 weeks, you message him immediately and you're like, hey man, get a shipment out. Like, if you don't have money, we have someone who can help fund your inventory. So that's kind of like, when I build people like that, to manage, then it's like, that's like the level of energy and like expertise you need, for other people to succeed, because they're coming to you and they're really depending on you on the advertising. So you need to do it for them effectively, also empower them and to learn and understand what's going on, so they can become a better CEO and brand owner. But also at the end of the day, you're not gonna, it's full accountability. It's not like, well, I created the campaigns, like they didn't work. It's like, no, I created the campaigns, we got impressions, it didn't get clicks because your click-through rate is low. Here's 5 recommendations on how you can improve your click-through rate. So that's kind of it's like just having a much higher standard.
I like how you give authority and you give empowerment to your brand managers. Be like, hey, this is you. This is on you. Like, you're managing this, and it kind of empowers them and like feels like them. Maybe it makes them feel more involved as part of the team. Their their reputation's on the line. They're gonna, if somebody calls you up and says, hey, so and so was great, that maybe you acknowledge that and talk to them about it. Like, it really empowers them. So we're a little bit past Cyber Monday. Yesterday was Monday. We had Black Friday, and so Cyber Monday. What are you seeing? It might be too early, with all the results yet, but like, what's going on? How do the ads look this year? What's ad spend look like compared to years past? Is there any good data that you have so far?
A few things. It seems like Prime Day outperformed Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Maybe if you combine Black Friday and Cyber Monday together, like the whole period, it could be better than a Prime Day. But it's better than 2021 from what we've seen. which is like, okay, are we heading in a recession or not? Like,
Yeah, right.
I thought we were, but Prime Day, I would say, is still much stronger and performing better. So I'm curious as to why. One of my guesses is maybe because Amazon understands that Black Friday, Cyber Monday is more of like a retail event, and so their marketing dollars are probably better saved for Prime Days, which they know they're the only ones, versus like they're competing with, all of the TVs and the radios are saying, we have this discounted, Sears or whatever. So I think that's one thing. I'm not seeing any major changes in like cost of advertising. So cost of advertising is remaining pretty stable. There was an attribution delay this Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So we're seeing like the results don't show up clearly. And then we are seeing like less overspending than we expected. So I expected if I was spending $1,000 a day, Black Friday, Cyber Monday hits, you're now spending $3,000, right? But now we're seeing it's actually not true. We're only spending 1,500 or 1,800. So I'm surprised, and this is not across everyone. This is across like maybe half. And so I'm surprised is what happened to the window shopping. Like, are people going now to Black Friday, Cyber Monday with more intent? So that's kind of been something. But again, like there's really not much conclusive data other than we know that the week before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, people were waiting, and we saw like your sales would be like this, and then the week before they're like this, and then the 5 days up they were like this, and then I don't know. Today's Tuesday, so we'll see what happens after that. They're probably going to stabilize within like 3 days, but that's kind of the general trend, and it's the exact same trend that I see with Prime Day, which is the week before there's going to be bad results. And then the day of, it's going to skyrocket and it's going to make up for it. And so the advice I always give is make sure you have a tight grip on your PPC spend, because you don't want to, make a lot of sales, but also spend so much money, like spend $2,000 more, and all of that amazing profit that you would have made gone down the drain in advertising spend, which has happened to me personally many times.
Your Q4 preparation probably started months ago, as far as working with your clients and all that. What are some things you did back then to prepare for like the Super Bowl of Amazon advertising? Like, what were you guys doing, to get your structures right, to get your listings right? What are some of those things?
Yeah. So 60 days out is the best time to start doing some split testing of the like main image. If you have any, pull on reviews, if you have, friends and family, whatever, people that you can potentially get reviews, now is the time. If you're a 4.2, try and hit a 4.3. But if I know a lot of people don't have control over the reviews, so that's the biggest time for us to split test different parts of the listing. The main image, the second and third images are also very important. We make sure like we optimize our SEO. We also increase our price, and knowing that people are expecting a deal, we do, $1, $2 increase in price. The thing is, when we do that and when we cut down our price again, it says lowest price in 30 days, like the scratched off lowest price. So we do that, we raise the price, and 60 days out, we really start to increase spending. So if you're spending on average like $1,000 a day, I would bring it to 1,500 with focus on like a group of root keywords. So if there's 3 or 4 or 5 main keywords that generate a lot of search volume, and they all like have the same kind of root, like electrolyte powder, electrolyte supplement, like the keyword electrolyte, I'll like overspend a little bit on those keywords, maybe operate more of like 100% ACOS or something on those keywords, leading up to the 7 days prior to Prime Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then during that time, I'll slowly taper it down. And right before that day, I will bring things down, let the organic take over and drive most of the traffic versus the paid ads. And like really cap the advertising. So it's hard to cap it. So we'll check in, we'll lower things like by 30%, lower bids by 30% on the main big spenders, in anticipation that you're going to spend 30 to 50% more on those days. And when we do that, we usually see that there's a drop in the ad spend on that day. There's an increase in sales, almost like double. Some people perform crazy. Like we had a guy that usually, I don't know, he does like maybe 8 to 10K a day. He did 135K in one day in Cyber Monday. So but it's an expensive product. It was like I think $200 product that people were probably waiting for Black Friday, Cyber Monday to get a deal on. We definitely utilize Prime exclusive deals for any Prime Day or Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and we've seen that to perform really, really well. So those are kind of the things that we're doing in preparation. And as long as we increase our organic rank, have the best image, the best main image out there, have the deals, don't overspend on the day, we should be fine.
What are you doing right now? Like as ads are running, what's like the daily monitoring looking like? Because you don't want to do too much tinkering around, with ads right now. What's your daily monitor looking like?
Like daily monitor now, like on Tuesday?
Yeah, like today, like a brand manager gets into their account. What are they really like? They're not really pulling that many levers because they don't want to mess too much up because it's already set up.
Yeah.
But what are they watching?
So we've downloaded the bulk sheet like before lowering the bids. So what we do is the day after, right? Once Black Friday Cyber Monday is done, we re-upload the old one with the old values. So it brings everything back. And then the team has already benchmarked how much spend needs to take place by like a certain hour. So let's say by 11 a.m., they know that total sales are usually at this amount, and then total spend or PPC spend is at this amount based on campaign manager, which who knows how accurate that is. If they feel like we're not spending fast enough, they'll increase the top spenders, maybe 10 or 15%, because we'd rather overspend a little bit on Tuesday and catch up when everyone's, maybe dropping their budgets or whatever. So because we really, we want to take advantage of like the momentum that we have. And if we have like a lot of sales because of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then on Tuesday we don't compensate by having higher ad spend to continue to have more sales, Amazon will notice that dip, and we have to fight back to get back to where we were. So it's really just a timing thing of like, let's upload the old bids, and if we're not pacing at the right amount in ad spend, during the day, increase the top spenders and top spenders / sales drive, not the stuff that's like not profitable, but increase the top ones. So, you can maybe overspend a little bit on Tuesday and then course correct on Wednesday.
You recently made a video talking about low bids, but just adjusting the placements of the campaign or the keywords. Talk about what that means. Like you talk about low bids, and then you were saying something about just adjusting the placements. You might as well just keep the placements instead of tinkering with the bids. You're tinkering with the placements of the campaign.
Yeah. So first I want to, there's like a myth, right? It used to work back in the day where you would set your bids to like, let's say 30 cents, and then have like 500% top of search bid by placement, which means that, 30 times 5, $1.50 for you to show up in the top of the search. So what that used to do in the past is it used to show you only in the top of the search. This works if you are a product that performs really well in the top of the search and you go into the placement. So you go into your campaigns, click on the campaign on the left side, you click on placement, and you look at the data, and it says on the top of the search, your click-through rate was better, your ROAS was better, you had more sales, versus the product pages and rest of the search. And now what I'm seeing is you can't really do that as much. Like, so if you have like a 30-cent bid, a 500% bid by placement, someone else has the opposite, like a 50-cent bid, 300% bid by placement. The higher bid is what we're seeing wins. I don't know why. And this is not like a rule. This is just kind of anecdotal what I'm seeing happening. So, what I'm basically saying is if you go in there and you're noticing that you have a certain campaign that is performing better at the top of search first page or product pages, but it's not performing that well in like rest of search or, in the other placement, basically, instead of increasing the bids, which will show you more across the board, you can increase the bid by placement, which means to show you more you can win more of that top of search because you have a bigger bid only for that position. So if you have $1 bid, and then $1 bid, you're going to be shown a certain amount of times in the top of the search and the rest of the search. But if you have a 50% bid by placement, you're going to be shown that much more in the top of the search because you're now competing with $1.50 bid for top of the search, but a dollar for the rest of the search.
This is crazy. This is why Amazon ads, like there's so many different levers, and the three of us could have all different strategies, and we could be doing 3 different things, but
Yeah.
maybe it works for one person, it doesn't work for another. Like it just, there's so much moving parts in this that
Dude,
one
that's-
strategy could be anybody else's strategy.
Let's pause there. I'm so glad that you mentioned this. So you said this. You said we can all have different strategies, and it can, it could work for me, not work for you. You whatever, it work for you, not work for me. So what does that mean, right? There's only one thing to do, is that you have to become like a scientist, and you have to get a logbook, and you have to say, okay, here's all of the different levers possible that we can pull on my account. And so we manage like over 70 brands at the moment, and every single one of them is different. Top of search works on this one, it didn't work on that one. Launching a single keyword campaign for ranking worked on this one, it didn't work for that one. And so since we have that much of like, it could work for me, could not work for you, we have to take a step back and say, okay, here's all of the different tools and different levers that we can pull. Let's get a logbook, and I'm going to try one at a time, and I'm going to document. And that's like the true way to succeed with PPC. There's not a strategy that I'm mentioning today. There's not, it's like, okay, here's a list of everything possible, like down to the foundational. Launch a campaign, that's one thing. Increase a bid, that's another thing. Lower a bid, that's another thing. And then you just document your actions on your product. You change one at a time. You have really good visibility because you're seeing your ad spend and your total sales. You're not just looking at my PPC spend, my PPC sales. No, you're looking at my ad spend, my number of sessions, like the amount of people that came into the listing, which is what the PPC is supposed to be doing, is just bringing people to the listing, not just converting them, because that's the conversion side of things. So you're monitoring the ad spend, you're monitoring the sessions, you're monitoring the sales. You're looking at conversion rate, or are the sales less because of the conversion rate or because of the PPC, and so on. You're monitoring your profits, and then you're making decisions like, okay, this week I increased the bids on everything that's a 1 to 20% ACOS, in my bulk sheets. What happened? You look at your analytics, your PPC spend went up by 20%, your conversion rate stayed the same, your total sales went up by 13%, whatever, your sessions went up by 20%. So you're like, okay, perfect. I understood now how this action plays a part in my product, with my individual product. And the thing that people are going to hate hearing is it's even at a product level. And so I tell all my people, I'm like, listen, you guys know the tools, try them out and see what sticks. If whatever sticks for each product, keep it. And so we could have this one product that we're blowing money on, and we're operating at a 75% ACOS, but it's making so much money. And this other one where we're doing the same, and it's just hemorrhaging us money. So it's like, okay, we need a different, and there's the two products in the same, same brand and same everything. And so that's kind of the truth, and why, there's so much mystical magic out there about PPC, is because, no one wants to face the reality. It's just the foundations, and you have to do them, and they're really hard because it's a lot of like tedious work.
I love this part, and I know, and you're dead right that people might hate to hear that.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're dealing with human beings who are purchasing products, and there's an impact, and they've got other choices out there, and there's no like set. What I like that you said is there's no set thing. I mean, you could hear some guru talk about this should be your campaign structure. You should do all single keyword campaigns or single target campaigns, or you should do this, whatever it is. Yeah, you're right. Iman's right. You are a wealth of knowledge, Mina. You got a comment coming in. But the other thing is like you mentioned before, it's not just PPC levers. It's not. I mean, that's half. That's a part of it. I mean, it could be price point. It could be your images. It could be the way you're presenting your product. Maybe you're targeting the wrong audience with your SEO and your listing. I mean, there's so many things, and that's why this is something Chris and I talk about all the time. This is what's fun for us. It is a game, and it's where your engineering mind comes in. We've got all the data. It's all there to look at, and you just got to keep pivoting and changing, and you may nail it, and the market may shift next month, and you're going to have to pivot again.
Totally, 100%. And I'm glad you also mentioned conversion rate, because the same amount of energy you put in your traffic to bring people to the listing through PPC is the exact same amount of energy you should be. And this is one thing I neglected. I'll be the first to say I neglected this so much. I made a listing and it looked nice, and I'm like, okay, perfect, the listing's done. Now PPC. But it's like, but what if I left the PPC alone for like a week? I did some, went on whatever, pick food product opinion, split tested some images, found a better main image, right? So it performed better than my old one. It performed better than my competitors. I went to manage my experiments. I let it run. It performs better significantly. And then I run that. And with all PPC things staying the same, I'm now generating more sales with the exact same campaign structure, because more people are likely to click on my listing. Or what if I go and I notice, a lot of people, a lot of the keywords like have sugar-free in them. And I'm like, man, I don't highlight that I'm sugar-free enough. The second image, or, the first image will have the word sugar-free. Like in my label, I just zoom the word sugar-free more. Like no one's going to notice the difference between the label and the actual container. And next thing you know, you're converting 10% more for the exact same PPC. Nothing changed. Your revenue went from 3,000 to 4,000 just because of those things. So it's the both of those things. And I mean it's tough. You know why? Because you need to be every day in that. You need to be a scientist, which requires patience of like, I'm going to change one variable at a time. I'm not going to tinker, even though I see this campaign that's going crazy. I have to be like, listen, like, we decided that we're going to do this thing, so we're going to stick to that thing. And then you also have to hire a designer that's constantly giving you new images. You're breaking down the listing. And for the people that are like overwhelmed with like, okay, where do I even start with my listing? This is something that I started implementing that it makes life so easy. Take your listing and then take your top 2 competitors and then make a checklist, like do like a print of each of their pages and like print them out and look at them side by side. And you'll see, okay, my title, this guy's title, this guy's title, my bullets, this guy's bullets. He has a coupon, I don't have a coupon. His price, my price. And you can just go in and these are all factors. I'm not saying change them. I'm saying change one of them at a time. Look at your click-through rate, conversion rates, how they're affected, and look at the impact in sales. If your PPC spend is the same and you changed one thing, you added a 5% coupon, which all of a sudden now you're getting a lot more people coming into the listing and converting, then perfect. You keep that on and you move on to the next thing. So that's kind of our system, really. It's like not a cool hacky system. It's a very like foundational system.
Yeah, it's a paying attention system.
Yeah,
that's what it is, and it's testing. And yeah, I mean, the other thing a lot of people don't want to hear is that guess what, you can lower your ACoS by changing your main image. It's like that's part of the marketing. I mean, the marketing is not just PPC, it's the whole presentation of everything. And I love it. You got to test everything else out. Well, I know we've been talking for a while, but what other things are you, in terms, especially like prep for Q4 and trying to dominate, like if you're trying to dominate Q4 or your niche in general, any other things that you guys are looking at or any other tactics that you're employing?
Yeah, really paying attention to organic rank. I think that's been a huge. So I'm seeing like a huge shift in Amazon, like with a lot more focus and attention to organic ranking. And search, find, buy no longer works that effective. It still works. You just have to be very, very smart about it. So you can't just go with any partner. Like there's a very few partners that I would recommend where you have to pick a certain keyword, you have to make it look supernatural, and you have to hold it. So search, find, buy is no longer, I'm going to increase my keyword sales for 10 days, 12 days, hold it, and then it go down and everything will be nice. It's more like, let's do 7 giveaways a day, and it's going to cost you on average like $300 a day forever. And let's see what the increase in revenue is. And if you do that and you notice, because it's a big keyword, your $300 a day results in an additional $700 a day in sales. There you go. And then over time, the other keywords that are related are also going to convert. So that's one thing I wanted to touch on. The other thing is, if you don't have Data Dive, I think Data Dive is a phenomenal tool. I use that a lot. I go in and I look at my top competitors, and then I see all of the keywords. I'll kind of do like a filter and just show all of the keywords where I'm not doing well on and try and group them by like similarity. So like if there's a bunch of keywords that are similar, I'll try and group them together, and then I'll try and create specific campaigns to really boost that entire group. And so I'll do no more than 5 at a time, so that we're tracking everything. I have a spreadsheet. It tracks daily ad spend per keyword, rank per keyword across the 5 different keywords. And I like to see like a synergy that all 5 of them are all improving rank together. And that really is synergistic. And I think if you're looking and seeing that your PPC to organic kind of ratio or whatever, it's not the most accurate, but if you're like at 85% PPC, there's something there that you should look into. And a lot of times it could be your click-through rate. A lot of times it could be your conversion rate. It could be you need to improve your SEO, or you maybe never really invested enough into scaling your ads, so your organic rank never improved. So that's another thing I want to touch on. And then the final thing is the search query report. That's been a huge, eye-opening thing. It's data straight from Amazon, and it tells you at what keywords you're converting really well on, but don't have a lot of impressions on, and what keywords you have a lot of impressions on, but not really converting well on. And this is kind of like, it's right there for you. If you're converting, if you have a very high click share, if you have a very high buyer share, and a low impression share, spend more money and add that keyword, somewhere, your title, bullet points, whatever, in your SEO, and spend more money on that keyword and see what happens, because it's telling you that a big percentage of those people that do see you and do click on you are converting. And then vice versa, if I'm getting a lot of impressions, but it's not converting, what if what's going on? What's that keyword? And you can find like 2 or 3 that are like, big keywords that you're getting a lot of impression share on, but very low purchase share. And it could be that there's something in there that is turning people off. Change your second image, add some questions that answer, like sugar-free electrolyte powder. I have a lot of impressions, a low conversion share. Great. I'm going to highlight in everywhere I can that I am a sugar-free electrolyte powder, so people know. So it's going to be in the second image. When people ask how much sugar, questions, I'm gonna ask that question myself as a buyer, and I'm gonna answer it as a seller. There is 0 sugar here. There is no sugar. Put it in like the enhanced brand content, whatever, and then monitor and see what happens. And so those are like a few things you can implement very, very easily and very quickly and improve your sales.
You should be a motivational speaker. Like, I just get motivated talking to you. Like, I'm ready to jump through this wall here and like get some stuff done. But I know you got things that I don't think Amazon is going to be like the final thing you do. So like, what is something that you got a goal set? What is something that you're looking forward to in the future? Where are we going to see Mina in like 5-10 years? Like, what's the big goal here, man? What else you got going on?
Dude, honestly, just the agency. And the reason is I made the mistake of losing focus, of doing like this, the brand and this and the consulting and all of this stuff. And I never, like, when I said, I'm just going to say no to everything and focus on one thing and one thing only, which is, why I love to tell people, stop worrying about Facebook ads and external and influencer marketing, all this stuff.
Agree.
You still have like a gold mine in front of you. So I'm trying to stay super focused and reach my maximum absolute limit, best in the world at what I'm doing. And then from there, I'll figure it out. Along the way, I would love something that I've been talking to my team about, is I would love for them to launch their own brands, and be involved in and like, I'll fund half of it and then they'll fund half of it. And so they're now equity owners in that business, and they can kind of see the entire process of, okay, why are we going to create this product? Is it validated in the market? And so on, and go through the sourcing, inspection, all this stuff. So they really, really, as a person, understand what it's like to own a brand. So that's going to be a cool, exciting thing, we're doing. But other than that, man, I'm just trying to stay focused and be the best at what I do.
I love that, though. I love the fact that you're encouraging your team to start their own brands. I mean, I know, speaking from our experience, that's what we really intrigued us about Solozo, is they appreciated the fact that Chris and I are both sellers, because we can have conversations like this. It's not just PPC; it's everything all together. But so that's fantastic. And Chris, you mentioned motivational speaking. Mina, you inspired me. I'm gonna go take the pizza that I have in the oven and throw it away and work out instead.
That's it, man. Starts with small changes.
Yeah, it's like you're talking and you're like, oh, I'm working out and eating healthy. I'm like, I've got a pizza in the oven right now, and I haven't worked out today. So you inspired me. I'm gonna go go do that.
You know what? One of my biggest hacks was I bought I don't know if you guys have this, but I bought a gas grill, and Trader Joe's has this like seasoned chicken thighs, and a lot of people think like they have to eat chicken breast, but I'm like, you can eat chicken thighs and it's the exact same thing. It's just you're gonna have to taper down your fat from like other sources. But I would like get that chicken and grill it and make it with like basmati rice, and I put like some spices in the rice, and it was the best meal ever, man. I could eat that meal every day. So
See, my problem was I would add cheese. I would put all the sauces on it. I would make it even worse.
No, you don't need it, man. It's so good. It's so delicious.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Mina, this has been fun, and you're giving free audits, right? People that are interested in what you're talking about, tell them how they can get a free audit with you.
Yeah, so go to the website, triviumco.com, triviumco.com. You'll see it says like get a free audit. Basically what it is, it's like a 30-minute video where someone on the team will go in and walk through everything in your account, your portfolio structure, your campaign names, your budgets inside the campaign, you know, the number of ad groups, your placements, you know, inside the ad groups, number of keywords, you know, any like issues with structuring, sponsored brand versus you know, display versus product. They'll go into the search term report, identify any of the keywords that you should be capitalizing on or that are hurting you, all of that, and you know, look at your organic ranking for keywords, identify which ones. So it's like a 30-40 minute video. It's really, I mean, it's free, and it's really a lot of value. And it's you know, one way we give back is you know, if you want to work with us, we sell the execution. If you don't, you know, I would love to leave the industry, you know, in a better way than I found it. And when I found it, man, there was zero PPC information out there.
That's true. Well, everyone go check that out if you're interested. We've got the website scrolling at the bottom here if you're watching, and that'll also be in the description and the show notes as well. Mina, it is always a pleasure. Love the energy. We'll stay in touch, obviously, and we'll keep you back on as a recurring guest. But we really appreciate it. Awesome, man.
I love it, man.
Well, thanks, Mina, and thanks everyone for tuning in. And we'll be back at this again next time on the next episode. So have a great day.